Okay, we're on to chapter 11, Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc is a very aromatic variety, has high acidity. You're getting aromas, herbaceous aromas, floral, and fruit, all on the scale from green fruit, citrus fruit, to tropical fruit, depending on where the climate is in the region that it's being grown. So either cool or moderate. It is typically a single variety, but sometimes it's blended with Semillon. I use the tool S² to remember Semillon and Sauvignon Blanc. And they're blended together to get fuller body and adjust the sweetness. Sauvignon Blancs are early drinkers because they lose their fresh aromas in a couple of years and develop unattractive vegetal notes. So that might be another reason why you'd blend it with Semillon. This is a very popular variety, and the characteristics are easily identified. They're typically unoaked to keep the herbaceous notes. And nowadays, people are starting to do some more experimentation with this grape because they're feeling like the market is going to get tired of the such easily identifiable characteristics, and they want to have a little bit more complexity. So they're just doing some experimentation with that. So depending on the grape when it was harvested, you're going to have least ripe to most ripe flavors and aromas. In the Sauvignon Blanc, when it's the cooler climates, or least ripe, when it's harvested, you're going to get grassy, green bell pepper, asparagus, and stone. Then as it begins to ripen, you might get some of those citrus and green fruits and gooseberry. And at the most ripe for this, we're getting tropical fruits and passion fruits. So we're going to start in France. And the Loire Valley of France has three important sub-regions of Loire Valley that Sauvignon Blanc is grown. The first two are Sancerre, which is this area right here, and Puy-Fumé, which is this area right here. And you have the Loire River coming through here. And these two are split between the Loire River, and they face each other. And further west, you have Touraine. So in Puy-Fumé, you're getting green fruits. And Sancerre, you're getting the green fruits and citrus fruits in the cold weather climate, because we're up here near the 50th latitude. And actually in Touraine, it's a much larger region. You're getting fruity, and these are inexpensive Sauvignon Blancs. Okay, and then also in France, in a more moderate subregion, we have Bordeaux. Sauvignon Blanc is the main white grape grown in Bordeaux. You're getting grassy and green apple notes. There are two subregions of Bordeaux where you have higher concentrations and more complex Sauvignon Blanc grapes, and those are Pessac-Léognan here and Graves, AOC, here. So these are sometimes blended with Semillon to add body and age. And some of these blends, when they're bottled for a while, can begin to get flavors of honey and nut, and they're very desirable. So S² Semillon Sauvignon Blanc in Pessac-Léognan and Graves. All right, and then the rest of France, in southern France, it's a little too hot to really grow Sauvignon Blanc, but there are some grape growers that are growing Sauvignon Blanc, and they are getting tropical fruit flavors. This area in France here, these are all higher altitudes. So if you're kind of borderline these higher altitudes, the altitudes increase as you go inland, and you have more moderate climates on these edges here of south of France. Okay, so moving on. We're now going to look at Sauvignon Blanc in New Zealand. First, we'll talk about Marlborough in New Zealand's South Island. Marlborough has both cool and moderate climates. So this is one of those places where they're experimenting with the ripeness and experimenting with the grape to try new things, including oaking, aging on the lees, and experimenting with blending different harvest and ripeness. So they might blend a warm, moderate climate Sauvignon Blanc with a cool climate Sauvignon Blanc in Marlborough. So experimentation is big there. Okay. Next, we're going to move to South Africa. So South Africa is getting this, it's almost too hot most places in South Africa. We're at the 30th latitude and 34th in the southern hemisphere. We have some sea breezes coming up here, which allows us to grow Sauvignon Blanc in Constantie. And we're getting, in Constantia, we're getting tropical and herbaceous notes. The highest altitude in South Africa is in Elgin. And those you're actually getting the cooler weathered Sauvignon Blancs, like aromas and flavors like green fruit and whetstone in Elgin. Okay. And then we have Australia. Australia has some cool influences here from the south at Margaret River. And it doesn't actually say Sauvignon Blanc on the map in your book on page 110 for Margaret River, but Sauvignon Blanc is listed in the book in Australia for the Margaret River in Western Australia, has built a reputation for Sauvignon Blanc, both as single variety and more commonly as part of a blend with Semillon. So here's where we're getting Semillons and Sauvignon Blanc as squared blended in Margaret River. Also in Australia, we have Adelaide Hills, though that is moderated by the altitude, and we're also doing some blending of Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon here. Moving on to Chile, we have those cool breezes coming up from the south and settling here in Casablanca Valley and creating fog. So there are high quality Sauvignon Blancs in Casablanca. You might recall we've also got some other cool weather grapes there like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. Cool to moderate temperatures. And then all of Central Valley, there's a wide range of quality grapes for Sauvignon Blanc that are grown in Central Valley. Okay, Much of California is too hot or too warm for Sauvignon Blanc, but we've got some notable Sauvignon Blancs in Napa, and specifically the cooler parts of Napa. So the cooler parts of Napa down here near Los Carneros, and then it gets warmer as you go up. Napa is also similar to New Zealand's Marlborough region. That you saw where you've got both cool and moderate climates right next to each other. We're doing some experimentation with blending both cool and warmer climates. We're also experimenting with oak and to get fuller body and smoke. All right, that's it for Sauvignon Blanc. And at the very last of this chapter, they say experimenting beyond the classic style to find points of differences that can help keep the Sauvignon Blanc offering interesting and varied, because they're worried that people are going to get tired of the precious Sauvignon Blanc.